Now you're on.
Anyway, we normally start with visitors, so if you'd like to tell us about your idea.
Sure. So with my Scout Den group, Den leader, Troop 138, and I try to do a community service project every year. When they were younger, we did projects for the troop itself, sort of a little microcosm. So this year, I was looking for a project to do that has a little bit more of a community focus, like a larger community focus. And being in the Scouts and Scouting, doing a sign for a trailhead or to mark a piece of land that was important to the community seemed to be something that would be right up their alley. They like making things, they're little kids. There's a couple of fathers also that are in the building industry. So it seemed like a potential project I could do with the Scouts over the course of a couple of months, and then being able to like present something to the community. Of that. Try to make it a feel-good thing for them, so they're always feeling like they're important. So this is something I think that when they go back 2 years when they get older and still have a connection to. So what I was thinking of looking at this printout that I was emailed, and I think that what we will be able to do is we'll probably be able to bring a sign like this up to a certain point. The Cub Scout charter has like limitations on what the kids can do for tools, like they can use power tools and stuff like that. We do let them use like a few very simple things like drills and whatnot. So we would be able to probably bring a sign like this right up to the point right before finish. And in that sense, I'd have to sort of step back and let someone have a little bit more experience on doing an outdoor finish on a sign like this for longevity. Step in and kind of give a little bit of guidance. I could bring, like I said, I could bring it up to basically the wood and the connections and sticking it in the ground, but.
You mean in terms of the varnish or whatever goes on, the finish that you would put on it to protect it?
Yeah,
I see.
and it might be just a recommendation from a sign maker, he or herself, on what products to use, but I'm not quite sure about that.
Well, we could probably find out what kind of finish was used on the freeze sign, for example.
Is it-
or-
Don't recall
Excuse me, is that
discussing
an
about
issue with the charter and what the kids can do?
No, but we could
With
call and
finishing?
find
Yeah,
out.
Right.
No, it's just a
You
lack
just
of
don't-
knowledge on our
Yeah, I
part
got it.
that we would want to be able to give something that we
Great pride.
we had confidence in, but there's no confidence in the paint. What paint to use and the kind of exterior clear coat that they actually use.
Check out YouTube with
Yeah.
the kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
No, I mean, just learn, I mean, it's a great opportunity to learn with them and, sorry, this is really loud. Ask, if you want, I mean, we'll be glad to help you with that, but.
But it sounds like there are certain things that the kids can't do, so they probably
Yeah.
can't do that part, is I think what you're saying, right?
No, I don't think so. I just asked them that.
Yeah, I think they'd probably be able to paint it,
I
as long
see.
as it didn't involve a spray gun,
I see.
that they could hand paint it.
Mhm.
If the clear finish had a spray, one of the parents would step in and do that. We use Seekins, I'm in the building industry, we do a lot of natural, like our business is basically focuses in on using natural materials, we do a lot of cedar and whatnot. So we use a lot of Seekins and products like that to seal houses, but I'm not sure if that's different industry than signs. So we
If you-
would probably want a name of somebody that could help us.
I can give you a name and I can contact them for you in the next day or so.
Who made the freeze sign?
We did that through the,
Was it the
through
Scouts? or-
the, no, we,
The prison,
through the
wasn't it?
prison.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, prison. okay.
But they might be able to give us some guy, or,
Well, I was thinking we could call and just find out what they
Yeah.
use
Sure.
on their signs,
or,
but anyway.
I have a friend who's a builder, and he would know the answer to this.
Good, so you do that?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
sure.
Anyway, I think we can
If you wanna,
all
Figure
work
that
together on
leave me
that.
your contact info, please.
So I guess the last part of it is, looking at this side, I'm assuming that we're going to want to create some sort of vertical posts that are set in the ground. So we would want some guidance from you on what your specification on it would be. Do you want it set in concrete footings, I'm assuming? Do you want it pressure treated to set in the ground, or some sort of crushed stone where it could drain well away? So some sort of specification on how you want the sign installed.
I don't know who installed the freeze sign, do we know?
Did you say the prison?
Well, they made
they
the
made
sign,
it.
but
Oh,
did they, I don't know
oh,
who
I see.
installed, I don't know
Hmm.
who installed it, maybe the road agent did that?
And it
or-
might just be us investigating what's already been done and replicating that as well.
Yeah.
And then the last component would be just the verbiage that you want on the sign, the size of the lettering, just a general spec.
Can we see what that one says?
I don't think we have a picture, a photo of the Dow's Cape sign.
I've seen it, actually. It's
Yeah,
kind of fun.
I keep coming up with it, like, on my computer, so probably in, maybe in one of the, stewardship, monitoring forms, it may have been a photo of it. I'll take another look around, it won't be for the next few days, but, I would, just make sure you give me your email, and I'll also get a picture of the official.
Yeah, I guess we'd wanna look at that sign, cause we probably wouldn't have the same, I mean, I don't even know the history of that forest and how it was acquired, but it probably wouldn't include like El Chip or,
No, it was
This is the Cape.
somebody from Epsom, I think.
Knowles.
Yeah,
Knowles,
Knowles.
yeah.
Donor, yeah.
okay, let's look at the old sign and see what that says, and just copy that, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Does
it's
that
a good,
sound-
we have just one up right now. They're all, let's make them all like that, you know, in terms of color and the way
Oh, you
we
mean
say.
like this one?
Yeah, I mean,
But I was saying in terms of
Some
the words,
consistency.
we can see
Sure.
what was on
Yeah.
the previous Dallas Kate sign, and,
oh, yeah,
cause it's not gonna be those same,
no,
that same
exactly.
language. Well, we really appreciate you
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
offering to
great.
do this, it's really great.
I know Chris has my email, so I guess if he wants to CC everybody on a message saying that we met
Okay.
and fill me in with all the information. I'd be looking to start it when the weather got a little bit better and I could take the kids outside in someone's driveway and start spreading out and start working on it.
Sure.
So probably mid-March, so now would give us, a month or so, or something, get through the sign. And then the parents probably do the last push, routing out the letters and some of the stuff that they can.
So you want us to go through Chris to reach you then? Is that
Yeah, unless you want to
preferable?
take my email down right now, it's
Sure.
J.
Are you comfortable, we're recording, okay.
JDALLAIRE73@gmail.
JDelaire73@gmail.
Great, we'll follow up.
Great.
Yeah, thanks so much.
How many kids are in the pack?
The pack has about 38.
Is this a den or a?
Yeah, I have the biggest den. We
Okay.
got 11 kids.
Wow. And they're how old?
They're 9 and 10. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like herding cats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which Cub Scout pack is it?
Pack 138.
Pack 130? Oh, it has 38 kids?
No, pack
It's
138.
pack 138, okay.
A hundred and
Had
thirty.
38
I think we
kids
do
in
have
there.
38.
11 in your den.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, great. thanks
Thank you,
for-
Jude.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, Frank, let's see, you're here for the Reservation Road discussion. One of you bring me up to speed on what this is about, since I missed the last meeting.
This is the town-owned land that's up for auction. And this is also the same property that we looked at 2 years ago at Andy Roberts and annual request. And this is what we sent the board of selectmen based on research.
And so the town now is wondering if there's an interest on the part of the Conservation
Well, they're
Commission.
serious about doing something now. They want it, in fact, I believe they want to get something done by, they want to get the auction done by, I think June is when John Harrington had said. and they just need to know that what parcels we have an interest in. As of last month, the discussion, that we had, obviously no decisions were made, but, the discussion ended up with that, this is pretty much the only one, because the Ambrose property that was, on Gulf Road, was being purchased back by the Ambrose family. So that's no longer up to, that's not gonna be auctioned.
So if we expressed an interest, it wouldn't be auctioned, or?
I believe that's the case, they would not put this up for auction. But we have to officially,
Say it has some conservation value and we're interested.
and we've already done the homework on that, and,
Yeah.
now you had, expressed an interest in it as well.
Yeah, I just happened to notice that the select board had a list of properties that they were considering for auction, apparently taken for non-payment of taxes. And just, out of curiosity, started looking at a couple, and they looked like house lots until I came to these and realized where they were and what they were, and thought it was quite different than the rest of them.
The Matheson
And
property.
wanted to make sure the Conservation Commission was aware of it, because I kind of saw conservation value pretty immediately.
Yeah,
Are these the
so,
ones- Did we look at this last time? Are these the ones that are on Reservation Road?
The Mathis properties
Reservation.
are on this.
And there was one that was like an island, or like right on the water.
The Estrella, or the Reservation Road properties are,
Reservation Road. There, and there.
these three lots in yellow,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest of the pink stuff here, that's all the Mathis property that was considered on Norton Hill. With Bear Paw.
Considering or paid for the appraisal?
We paid for the
And
appraisal.
she's not sure what she's gonna do with it yet,
It's
right?
still in-
Yeah,
it's
okay.
still in limbo.
Well, I think it's still in the works, and there was a delay, I think, with Bear Paw's turnover in executive director and with the L-chip timing, but that is still on our agenda.
So she is gonna move forward with conservation of those pieces?
Come to what?
Move forward conserving those?
That's my understanding.
Okay, we hadn't, I don't think we had, or I didn't know that yet.
no, Katrina had said,
Yeah.
last time we talked with her, she had just said it was on hold
Right.
because of just what you explained. So we hadn't gotten a further update on that.
Yeah, I hadn't been aware that there was movement there. Is it, or is it just something to go to? It's sort of unfinished business hanging on the wall.
Well, it's both, it did get delayed, and, but it's currently one of the projects that Bear Paw has listed for action this year.
Okay.
It wasn't on the board when I was there last week.
Well,
I didn't
that-
see it on the
That may
board.
be because there wasn't anything new that particular month.
Just a week ago? The only one there was Pendleton, you know.
So maybe for Frank, I can just review what so this was June 11th of last year that the Board of Selectmen asked us to give them some information about the conservation value of this parcel, and so this is what we said. We said that it's within the most current green infrastructure open space network. It says it appears that about a third of the lot is within the green infrastructure, and the rest is within the green infrastructure nearly in their entirety, so I guess of the different parcels. It said the parcels form wildlife corridors, both ranked in New Hampshire and in supporting landscape as identified in the Wildlife Action Plan. Large portions are developed riparian zones and part of unfragmented blocks greater than 500 acres. And there is potential linkage to Pawtuckaway State Park. Map 4/1862 abuts the 154-acre Longview School parcel, which abuts Pawtuckaway. Additional criteria were potential linkages to existing open space, environmental sensitivity, existing threat of continued development, outdoor recreation potential, financial impact in terms of cost of residential services versus open space, and aesthetic benefits to the general public. So anyway, we had presented these arguments to the Board of Selectmen almost a year ago. So,
So they would like us to reiterate that if we still feel strongly about?
I'm not really
Your thoughts?
clear on the process. I mean, I guess we can just say that we still have the same,
Yeah, it hasn't changed.
How many acres is it? Do you know, Frank, or does anyone know?
Is this right, 62 and 25 here? And 26?
The lot numbers, right?
Or are those the lot numbers? Those are the
No,
lot
yeah,
numbers.
Just
No.
I'm just curious, it doesn't,
this is-
oh, up here it is, I've got it. So the one lot's 23, the other one's 5.7, and the other one is 76.
yeah.
76, yeah.
So it's about 100
Yeah.
in total.
I think it's great.
There's wetland in there.
They're not
What
contiguous, there's one
becomes,
little piece.
What, so, how does that work? If,
John's going to have to know that there is an interest, and then you could, so he could move ahead and not put this up for
Right.
auction.
but there would be no fiscal responsibility on the behalf of the
Well, that's
Conservation
the
Commission?
question I have.
I don't know how that would actually work, and that, you know, if there's a true interest for, but, if conservation is truly interested in it, then you can move
Have the
ahead with
conversation.
telling him, yeah, we really wanna conserve this.
Yeah,
And then work with John as far as pointing, he can point us in the right direction.
There's probably some expenses, there's costs here of, what, changing the property over? What, wouldn't be
Yeah,
very
well,
much.
Town already owns it though, right?
right, that's what, so.
It's been surveyed.
So if we were gonna do a conservation easement, there would be the typical, you know,
Right.
legal and transaction fees, so
Right, right.
15,000 or whatever.
Right.
Apparently, they tried over the last couple of years to work with the Estrellas, and the Estrellas had expressed an interest in retaining the property, and they'd worked with the lawyers, and it was a lot of up and back according to what I was told, but nothing has really,
Mhm.
it never bore fruit. So it's just kind of there.
So
Have-
is
we
the
just-
next step then for me to email John and just reiterate, I mean, I guess send again this list of,
Yeah, I got a question for Frank. When you were deeply involved in the commission a few years ago, for a long time, did you ever pick up lands that were, tax? Did the Conservation Commission, when you were on it,
No.
pick up lands, and how did that work? Was there
I
an
don't remember
expense?
that any came up during that time.
No?
It was more the building boom time.
Mhm.
But,
There are some.
what we did inherit were what are now the town forests, which are then just called the Wells Lot.
Sure.
Mhm.
Chase Lot and so forth, and so we had those designated as town forests through the town meeting vote. And then ultimately, more recently, the commission has conserved
Mhm.
them. And Chase property, that was a tax deed,
Yeah.
so was the Wells property. Doused Kate essentially was that. The owner, Gilbert Knowles,
Yeah.
moved to the town, wanted to give the property away in exchange for forgiveness of the taxes, which he's giving the property, he's gonna charge them the taxes.
Sure.
anyway. So that's how that one came about. So it's happened before, but I don't think it's
Yeah,
happened
okay, well,
recently, that's why I was surprised to see a piece of it.
so that's a
Hasn't
bridge we'll
happened
cross when
since.
we come to it, yeah.
Does anyone know what the process is in terms of what the landowners are still entitled to? So I was
They
thinking-
still have a right of first refusal.
But if the town, can the town just decide to keep it? That's the question.
Right,
I believe if they don't pay the taxes on it, then there's the whole notification, the RPOT per RSA. And that's what John is going through right now. He wants to have some clarity so he can start the process of notifications. And from what he has said is that, the owner has right of first refusal, and then the town is obligated to present these parcels to the Historical Society and to the Conservation Commission. So I guess we get second dibs on it, I think.
Is it the Historical Society? That's not an official town, that's a separate organization. We have the Heritage Commission,
Yeah.
maybe that's it.
I don't think it's the Heritage, maybe it's the Heritage Commission.
Is this maybe in the RSA, that it says that?
Yes,
Oh,
because his whole process is per
Oh.
RSA,
okay.
and
So-
the notification process.
So if we want this, it's ours, is that it, or do they, are
You-
we
you
just
really
telling
need-
them
you
that,
need
That's
federal
what we don't know yet.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
That's what we don't know yet.
I say,
We have
or,
to find out
or
from
is
John.
Um,
it that we tell them we want it and that's as far as they have to go? They,
Well, we'd like to
That-
find out what else is attached to.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I would just express that we think it has high conservation value, and what is the process and the potential involvement of the Conservation Commission if we move forward.
I think we told him that we would vote on it at the, that we would vote on it at the next meeting, that we had a quorum.
We have a quorum tonight, right?
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
don't know what we would be
Can I,
voting
would you
on.
like a motion?
I mean, do we need a vote?
I think we do. I think for something like this, that there should be a vote, so that there's a serious.
Just voting that we.
Yeah, it's on
record.
Interest
Interest.
in retaining it for conservation purposes.
Yeah, okay.
What she said, I make a motion that we
Retain.
tell them we want to retain it for conservation
I'll second
All
purposes.
in favor?
Aye.
it.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Frank, do you have anything you wanna add to that description of the conservation value that's missing? Like, it doesn't mention where it falls in Bear Paw's priorities, if that was something of interest, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it falls in Bear Paw's priorities. I looked at the town's open space plan, thinking that was more appropriate at this point,
Right.
but I can look into that. I did notice that there is the town's largest aquifer, which is mainly under the fairgrounds, and this property is within about 1,500 feet of that, and uphill of it, so there's a water protection
Mm-hmm.
component. And it appears to be a stream on both properties,
Pardon me,
two larger ones.
There's what on both properties?
A stream and some wetlands and hydric soil, and those are all headed toward the Lamprey River.
Okay, can add that.
I also noticed the highest ranked habitat map showed the two larger pieces, the highest in the biological region, and the smaller one, interestingly, highest statewide.
Hmm.
Very small habitats. So those may have been a little bit more additional information.
Okay.
I don't have the text in front of me of whatever we wrote, but it sounded like that section could use some clarification, like the way it was worded.
Or maybe the way I read it.
No.
I
But yeah,
think
so we
you-
can add that detail.
I think a couple years ago, you may
I'm
have
sure.
actually,
Wrote it, I'm sure.
no, you had, I think you had maybe questioned whether it was highest ranked habitat, in the biological region or statewide. Whatever I had there, I think you had questioned, or it might have been another
Well,
parcel.
if you wanna send it
Yes.
around, after you add the new text, we
I
can
think
take a look at
I
it.
did send these all around, so if you could check your email, because it's huge.
Okay.
15 megabytes or something
Okay.
like that.
You sent that pretty recently, right?
Yeah.
And that would include this piece?
Mhm.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. You said, you were saying that it's the highest ranked in biological region, and the small, that's the large piece?
Small piece was highest ranked statewide, yes.
I think John's out until the 18th of
Yeah,
February or something,
so
but I will, email him nonetheless, and we'll see what happens. And we'll go from there.
One more question of I don't expect it's a question for this group, but Haley mentioned the possible financial implications. I wondered if the town were auctioning off a house and a house lot, non-payment of taxes, I would think the owner would get paid whatever the difference was between the owed taxes and the sale price. And so I wonder how that would work in a case like this.
I don't know.
There may be
Right.
something there.
Right.
Yeah, how does it work?
So the town has to take some sort of not a loss, but has to, end up paying something for the,
Right.
to keep the property.
Unless they keep it, they simply keep it for the
Are you-
unpaid taxes.
Yeah.
And
Are you sure that they have to, pay back anything over once it's theirs?
No, I'm not sure. I just assumed that would probably be the case.
Well, we might change our mind then, depending.
Maybe it's not the case.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll go from there. Okay. That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Frank.
That's your coat, it looks like. Thank you for giving us a heads up on this.
Yeah.
Well, Frank,
I was pleased to see you had already considered it a year ago.
Frank, while you're here, remember we talked about the property up on, I have a question that I have to answer, and I called Frank, and it had to do with, what's that, the conservation easement on Silly Road,
Yeah, the Willoughby Conservation.
Willoughby. And I think I had the question to find out the answer to, as to, the owner asked about managing forest, getting a forest management plan and so on. And Frank and I talked, and he has the answer. So,
Oh, on the,
you
on
just
the
wanna-
western- on the, rather the.
yeah, Willoughby. So, essentially you said it's not real serious question, it's sort of,
She just wants to know what the options are.
Right,
You know,
okay.
The question has come up 2 or 3 times in the last 3 years.
and you thought the question was answered, Phil Ozier talked to her, or was
Yes.
going to do that?
She asked if I might be able to contact Phil and get the two of them together so Phil could give her some advice about it.
Okay,
And as far as I know, they did communicate.
so it's not an open question anymore, it's all settled. That's all, we just
They
wanted,
tried to do something in the future, but as of
Yeah.
the fall, things were still as they had been before. There's been no action.
Okay. all right.
So they're contemplating doing a plan.
Maybe, I mean, that's been on the, questions come up every year or a couple of years, and so the answer is, the question here is answered for now, so we don't have to worry that somebody's waiting for an answer. That's what,
Oh, no,
Yeah,
definitely
we-
not.
yeah, okay, good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Eric, Judy is unclear on that last transaction, can you clarify for her?
On,
What we're talking about.
What is,
there was a Bear Paw monitoring report
yeah,
on Willoughby, and,
right.
right, and
So they're.
said
so
here,
they're gonna
land-
talk to
there was a comment about the landowner's interest in exploring forest management options for the property. So we didn't know, is that on us, on the Bear Paw, or what? So I called Frank. He was the monitor, and it's not something we have to worry about, it's done.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's off our plate.
Yeah, and it's a question that's been answered, and
Okay.
so,
So it's been dealt with through Bear Paw?
yeah, right,
Because they're it's their east.
Right,
it's their
right.
easement.
I think, yeah, so it's not something
Okay.
that's undone.
Okay, so the next thing is an update on the wetland buffers zoning ordinance, which is gonna be on the ballot. We also had worked with Cameron and Sylvia to put together language for the voting guide, which I think is what this is that,
Yeah.
and I
Did it get in there?
don't see it here.
No, but there's no additional interpretation for anything in there, so
Let's see.
maybe it's not, maybe it wasn't an option even though we,
I think
Worked
there's
on.
another one that will come out right before, March 10th, is it March 10th, or
the 11th.
something like that? Whatever, the March,
Yeah.
yeah, election.
Oh, this isn't the voter guide. It says,
No.
please note,
Oh,
the
okay.
voter's guide will be mailed in
Oh, great.
February, and is not included in this newsletter.
Oh, good.
Something just came in the mail today?
Yeah,
It's
but
that.
that's what this is.
Oh, that's it?
Thank you.
But
Okay.
it's not the voting guide,
Newsletter, okay.
according to this note, which I
Okay.
didn't see until
No,
now.
Me either. That's great.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
the zoning amendment is in there, but it will have in the voting guide
Right.
more, information, and that'll come out later this month.
Yeah, that's been problematic in the past. I mean, I remember some voting guides coming out, and yes, we're gonna do that. and People would hand in what to be explained, and it would be changed radically, or, because we have to shorten it, you know? We don't care about what people have to understand. So, I'm glad that still, it's not done yet, it's not cast in stone, and we'll have a chance to,
Well, so here's the thing, so our next meeting is March 9th, and the vote is on the 10th, right? The next
Mhm.
day?
Yeah.
So, you know, this is our only time to talk about how we want to get the word out. So there is going to be text in the voting guide, which will explain the ordinance. But I think that, you know, we need to get the word out to us, you know, to our network, basically. You know, just to let people know what it's really about and why we're, you know, doing this.
I talked it up on Saturday and somebody, I got to convince them to vote. to actually vote.
One, Judy, good job. Well, I say, here it says newsletter article, is this something we'd be interested in putting in the forum?
Wasn't that what Kim and Sylvia are doing?
I don't think
know.
they were planning to put it in the forum, but I think maybe we should,
I think
yeah.
we could use the language that we developed for the voter's guide, you know, because
Yeah,
when I'm looking
right.
for like candidate information, I go to the forum in most cases. I don't know what they're doing this year, but in the past, you know, they've had little write-ups from each candidate, and so I think it's
Oh, that's right, yeah.
kind of a go-to place to put that explanation of the change, potentially.
That's great.
We got candidates night coming up, it's Wednesday this week. 2 days, 2 nights, I don't know if we,
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be gone the next 2 weeks. Can you find out what the deadline for the forum is, or how that works, or maybe you know, like how we get something into the forum?
News at forumhome.org.
And usually they,
I don't know how quickly.
for my 2 articles that I just put in recently, she put them up on Friday, both of them. I think if you get them in before, they put them up on the next Friday.
If you get it in before when?
When would we ideally want it in?
Yeah, would it be like the,
I'm just saying, a few, like the week before, I would, you know.
so you
Tuesday.
contacted them the week before and they put it in that next Friday? Okay, so then to Haley's question, when would we don't wanna put it in too early, right? We
Right.
wanna put it in, what, a week before, or, I mean, a
Uh,
Friday before, or
How about a
2
couple
Fridays
of,
before?
Yeah, like the end
could you
of
make it
this.
into 2, so you put in half of the information or something the first time, and then hit them again the second,
oh,
you know?
well, hit them, do the whole thing at once. Or you mean
Like maybe
doing
like
2?
But
February
I'm saying
20th,
doing
that's
2,
on
so you
Friday.
get, you know, you get it in 2
Like a week and a
successive
half
issues.
before.
Yeah.
Judy, do you want me
Or
to handle
whatever
that?
you-
Right, okay, that gets it up on the front page.
I think I have a month, if I have a month to do it, I can do it.
Yeah, and you know what the language is.
I have the
to put
language
in
with
there.
Pam, yeah,
You
so
can
I'll
have
work
it
on, I can work on figuring out, it'll be my little task I'll chip away at every day for the next 2 weeks.
Did you contact somebody,
Haley?
or did
yeah.
you send it through email?
I contacted, yes, who was it? Let me see.
Maureen Mann?
Yeah, and I.
Yeah, she
I
gave me
filed
another
it.
name.
Yeah,
Okay.
ask them to.
Let me see who it was.
Make sure you get answers.
Timeline and
because
stuff,
I've
yeah.
sent them things,
Yeah, yeah.
and I don't know whether they get them or not. They're real good about getting our meeting notices
Right.
every month, yeah.
Yeah, all right, I'll stay in communication, but I'll put that on my list of things to do, keep me sharp.
Okay, so we're gonna, get that in the forum, it's gonna be in the voter guide, and then we're all going to make sure that our contacts and networks know about the ordinance.
Yeah, what's the date we're gonna put in the form?
Well, based on what Wes is saying, if it's a Friday, typically we'll aim for February 28th, the end of the month, so that gives,
Oh, okay,
that
2
gives a week and a
weekends.
half,
Yeah,
2
that's good.
weekends, yeah.
Hmm.
What I would suggest is that we find a way of making 2 articles and put it in either 2 successive weeks or every other week for like 3 weeks before and then a week before the election, so that, because if people look at it 1 week, they see it, but then it drops down.
Or just put it in twice, I mean, the article's
Yeah.
not that
Yeah.
long, so I don't think we can make it.
Okay, but
just
that's
submit
my
it twice.
point, though, if you put it in twice, if you find something else to say
Just make
about
the
it.
headline different the
whatever.
second time. Reminder, or,
I'll ask about it, yeah,
You know.
or I'll figure it out. Okay.
Great. Okay, that's the wetland.
And who has, you've got the text
Mhm.
of what, was it ever really settled, completely settled? I've seen things go.
Yeah,
going
I
by, but
sent some
don't
like
remember.
pretty minor changes back to Cam, and then that was the last communication.
I haven't
Other
paid
than
much attention
going back
to
and
those.
forth with Sylvia to make sure we could still get it in or not. Yeah, so the last email was Sarita copying John Harrington to make sure it gets in the guide.
And of course, I didn't hear
Right.
back, so,
Yeah.
from
So.
anybody, but hopefully.
Yeah, but yeah, I think we have I'll final version. I assume would be the one I sent with minor edits back.
I can't think of who it was, I wanna say.
There's also, the town Facebook page. What do folks think about putting it up there? The only downside of that is it has the potential for lots of comments.
It has what?
Potential for a lot
Right.
of comments.
Oh, okay.
Maybe not all constructive.
Hmm.
Right.
Got it, I got it,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm maybe leaning towards not doing that.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
think, Keely, you hit the nail the first time we tried doing that, and that was
Yeah.
on the, what was it,
I don't
what was
know.
it, on the town forest?
Something non-controversial. I
Oh,
don't
it was on the,
Oh, the
it
public
was on-
hearing for Pendleton.
For
Yeah,
Pendleton.
yeah.
And it ended up being pulled down because it got so
Yeah.
heated.
Is that right?
Yeah.
A lot of things, yeah. I just, you know,
Yeah, I quit
Yeah.
following because
Yeah.
it was so,
yeah.
It was not so.
okay.
Well, we could try and put it up, you can turn off comments on some stuff, you know, so then it's just a notification.
Oh, is that right? You can control it?
Well, I don't know if we can or the people who moderate the
Oh.
page can, but we could ask them to, if we felt like we wanted to get it out there, but I don't know that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's the best forum for education.
I agree.
Do you have anything written up, Haley, that we could send around to our networks?
Yeah, let's all send out the final version of that,
Oh, okay.
what's going in the voter's guide, and then you could,
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
pull
just
bits and
pull it
pieces
apart.
from it,
Great.
and, yeah, yep.
Then we could send that around, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Under stewardship monitoring, we just went over Willoughby.
That's the thing about the forestry.
I don't think there's an update on the sign maintenance on Fog Shores. We talked about that already. I think there's nothing else to say about that. Is there a reason why that's still there?
I didn't think it was resolved. I didn't know whether it was resolved, so it's just,
I think it's resolved. It comes up every year.
so it's just.
The sign is still there, so.
Yeah.
Well, they want a new sign or straightened out or
No.
clear the brush or,
I'm
Maintained.
yeah.
not sure what the Quarry Wildlife Open Space bullet is about.
That is the Browns Mill
Right.
Road, conservation easement that Kate had negotiated the changes in where it resided and,
But what are we supposed to do about that?
well, I pulled up the deeds, all of the deeds that relate to it. There's a homeowners association. There is as far as we know, it's never been, reclaimed the way it was supposed to be. And there was supposed to be a bond, but, checking into that, there's nothing on the books as far as bond money, having been withheld by the planning board for, the reclamation.
I guess I'm just not sure what we can do that, if the reclamation wasn't done. I mean, I'm just not sure what our role is in that.
It's our CE, so it's pretty much standard CE with our responsibility as.
Right, but unless we pay for it, I don't see that ever happening. I guess is my point.
I guess there are some monitoring requirements, as there are with ours, and Franklin mentioned, if I understood him correctly, that he might be something that has.
So you're talking just about monitoring then, not about the actual reclamation?
I guess reclamation was part of the, I'd have to go through the document again and refresh my memory. There's an awful lot that's associated with it as far as the deeds are concerned.
Who holds the conservation easement, or is that not being held yet? Or is it the planning board? Or is it in development?
I wish I had instant recall on things, but I don't.
I do think it came
I
from the
said
planning board.
That's another one that has lots of attachments. Oh, look at this folder. association with bylaws and who's the owner of that Corn Wildlife Open Space subdivision, declaration of conservation easement. Restriction perpetually protects the open space from future development. Ensures that the 28.682 acres remain in natural state prior to any stewardship activities. Management plan approved by the town of Deerfield is required as outlined in section 2. States what the lots are. Purposes are consistent with RSA 79A, current use. Purposes are also consistent with the 2009 master plan, an open space chapter of the master plan. Stewardship, owners of these particulars, 1, 2, 3 acres of 5 lots, are obligated to manage the open space in accordance with the limitations imposed. Who pays? In the event stewardship activities take place on the open space, they shall be performed in accordance with the written management plan approved by the town. Management plan shall be prepared by a natural resource professional approved by the town, licensed forest or wildlife biologist.
So that's all the standard easement stuff,
Yeah.
right, Judy? But, so for the specific, it's a gravel pit reclamation work, right? Like, that's what we're talking about here? Because you had sent around that Fish and Game letter that indicated that the planning board, before they signed off on the plan, requested that bond and the commitment to do that work. So, but,
Attorney's letters.
but
so
according
there's
to-
a letter with recommendation, habitat restoration recommendations from Fish and Game, but do we have
According to
evidence that
John,
anything
no.
ever happened?
According to John, there's no
Right.
bond, and that
Mm.
never happened.
So that's, so maybe at a planning board meeting, they said before we sign up, like, we want this to happen, but nothing ever happened to make it actually happen,
Right.
it seems like.
It would appear that way because
Okay.
of this specifically. He came to us asking about,
Right.
did we know anything about bond money that was sitting there? And it was just a very small amount, and I told him that there was supposed to be, I think it was $1,500 or something like that, bond money. And he says there is nothing in there for Brown's Mill or anything in that amount that's sitting there on the books.
Yeah, so it seems that the reclamation bond
$2,500.
never happened.
Okay.
Oh,
So I think that that's the point, like, do we want to do something with this? The fact that, you know,
I
it
mean,
was supposed to happen and it didn't.
it's a planning board, it's in the planning
yeah.
board's
it's a planning
court
board.
at this point still, right? I mean, I think I have an interest in seeing that it happens, but it's still on their plate, from what I can tell, because they would be the entity to take
To
the bond
enforce
and
it.
enforce it, because they're the,
Yeah, 'cause
the
this is
group
all
that
done.
signed off on
Yeah,
it, yeah.
it's all done.
Right.
The lots are sold.
So it might be worth just an email to them or some sort of communication to say, like, this has come to our attention, that this didn't happen, you know, I don't know, you know, here's the letter with the recommendations that we have on file, you know, can you
Right.
provide an update on the
Yeah, we
status?
could do that, so just get an update on the status and why, or
Yeah.
what happened.
It's just given the amount of, you know,
That's the
rare,
planning-
threatened, and endangered turtles we have in the town, and, some other, you know, gravel pit reclamation that's going on nearby, I think it would be a worthwhile project to have happen.
And that was a planning board, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll send that.
Did you want me to send you the documents again? And-
That would be great.
Okay.
That way I can forward those. Okay, so that's, I think, what we had on the plate for stewardship and easement monitoring. Why don't we do our regular business? So we have minutes to approve from the December 9th regular meeting. Oh, because that was tabled in January, there was no quorum. So I make a motion that we approve the December 9th regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then I assume we don't need to approve the January.
Yeah, we were unofficial.
Okay. All right, Eric, do you have a finance report?
Do. happy to report that we have all our conservation fund reports for 2019. It's got the last one today. And we've covered them all in an unofficial manner up through December, I guess. No, sorry, November. So for December, it's too many pieces of paper here.
You found one in November and December.
November, well, we had, we haven't reported,
Yeah, you don't have the official. You've got August, September, and October.
I've got official through December now. I sent you,
Okay, so
sent
you've
you
got
those.
November and December official.
Right. I think you reported those last, I reported them?
August, September, and October.
Oh, is that right?
And that's what-
Okay.
That's what you had sent.
Okay,
And you gave them as in January. you gave them-
all right. So November,
As unofficial, now they're official.
no, I have an official.
I mean, back in January, they were unofficial, and then you sent them
What I'm saying right now is we're official through December,
through December.
and I have January's unofficial.
Okay.
Someday we'll get this straight, geez.
That's
close.
closer than we've been in a while.
Oh, it is, it certainly is. So, for November, I'll just tell you, the only transaction in that month was interest of $38, and the ending balance is $184,960.15. And December, there were two transactions during the month, one for interest of $39.13. And then, if you remember, we had money paid out of the operating budget that was really belonging to the Conservation Fund. We had to pay legal expenses of $674.09. It didn't come to us. It was simply paid by the bookkeeper or whoever does it. So Conservation Fund repaid the town budget, town budget, $674.09. So we ended up there at the end of December. Why is that? $184,325.19. And then for January, sorry, I had these organized, trust me. Sorry. I must have pulled the wrong thing. Well, let's see. Okay, January. There were deposits of $10,226.06. There was that's one deposit of, let me back that up. There were two deposits. I'll break that down. One was $9,190, and that represented land use change tax for the previous quarter. And then $1,000.
Is that fourth quarter?
Fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter?
Yep.
2019.
And there's a budget surplus for the Conservation Commission in last year, and that goes into our Conservation Fund. That was voted by the
Do you
town.
have the dollar amount on that?
I do. $1,036.06. And I will give you, there it is, Judy's packet. Would you pass it down to Judy, please?
So I'd be curious to know,
So let me
I'm
just do the
sorry.
final total here for the month. So the end of January, we're at $194,590.90. Nice way to end the year.
How much did we get over the course of the year? Do you have any idea from that fund? How much was put in over
I'd
the
have to
course
go-
of
I'd have to go-
2019? I'd be curious to know if there's any consistency over the years.
Well, we did have, I think, 2018 and 2019.
You're speaking of the land use change tax?
Pardon me?
Are you speaking of the?
Land use change tax, yeah. So I think 2018, there was a fair amount of activity that, development activity that brought money in. And then in this year, I think the first half of the year, we had a couple of large transfers. And 9,000 here, so I'm not sure. I think my sense is that, just have a feeling that it's winding down a little bit for now, but I can't say for sure.
So I
That's
mean,
it.
if it's like 10K every quarter, that's 40,000, for the year.
Yeah.
40, 50,000.
Is that what you're remembering? I don't recall what it was.
Off the top of my
It's a good number.
I said 9,000, so
Right.
just times 4.
Right.
Anything else, Eric?
No, that's it.
Thanks. Okay, so the next thing is, we're gonna discuss is the Pendleton parcel from the Marston Farm project, and, Judy sent us all of the attachments for that, and, it seems that, so just as a, I guess, review, a reminder, we had, before the Bear Paw transition, we had our attorney review the conservation easement document. He had a number of questions and concerns that then those were then sent to Bear Paw, and their attorneys, I believe, they went back and forth with our attorney to get those resolved. And then there was the transition, with Katrina coming on board, so that, kind of slowed progress for a little while. We're now at the point where we have the documents, and Katrina has sent an update saying that the Bear Paw attorney review is complete. The L-chip review is complete. And so they're basically waiting for final review from us and final approval. And so I guess the question is whether we feel that we need another round of review by our town attorney. My sense is that he did that review, they had a back and forth, but if the commission feels that we need to have another round of review, then I will send this to him to have that done.
Well, I looked at that today, and the two documents, one from L-chip, one from the attorney for Bear Paw. And they've got a lot of editing, questions and things like that. It's not ready for prime time, I don't think.
She says that the reviews are complete pending further edits from us.
Well, does she mean we do edits on edits, or?
Which one are you referring to?
Both L-chip and RS is the attorney, I think.
The last ones that I sent out were the ones that were from Katrina.
Right.
And the file name was Deerfield Pendleton Easement 2020-0204. And that was the CE deed. And the version was a draft. It was actually the 2019-1202, Deerfield to Bear Paw.
Yeah, I don't see any edits in this, Eric.
There is one in the, not the L-chip one, but the Deerfield Pendleton easement, 2020-0204. Way down toward the bottom, there's something in red, and it's the same as,
Well, I'm only looking at the ones that, Katrina sent. I don't have what you're referring to.
Okay, there's
Well, I had,
Deerfield
Yeah.
Pendleton easement, this one here. If you open that one. there's
is
a
there
red
something after
portion.
January 17th?
Pardon?
January 17th, is
Yes,
something?
February 4th,
Right,
or after that,
I
actually.
didn't see that.
Tuesday.
It's actually, I believe, the same one that we previously reviewed, the draft 2019-1202, Deerfield to Bear Paw.
Well, I didn't have a chance to look at I didn't have a chance to look at them, and I wanted to also confirm what exactly is needed from us. So Katrina said she wanted just a second set of eyes to make sure those two
That the two,
jive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that the L-chip and,
Right.
and the CE
Yeah.
to Bear Claw.
Yeah,
And
so
then
here's-
Sarita, your question is just whether we feel we need another final review from the attorney.
Yeah, and whether we can just look at them and vote and just, because another round of attorney review is gonna take time.
No,
so.
I'm fine
Or,
not having
or
that.
simply pose the question, were his questions adequately answered?
Right,
That might,
close the book, yeah.
What happened
My
after the
sense is that the
January
questions are
17th?
never adequately answered, honestly. I mean, we
Right.
do this every time, and the
Right.
questions are never adequately answered. So, I mean, we can go round and around, but at some point, we just have to
Yep.
be
Well, who-
okay.
The one I haven't seen or didn't look at, you said February 4th,
Judy sent it out on Tuesday. She forwarded an email
Oh,
from Katrina.
Tuesday?
Yep,
last
whatever,
Tuesday?
whatever this,
yeah, it was her
Last Tuesday
email
was.
to us, her update to us on February 4th.
mhm,
So who
And
resolved,
it had the big Google file.
mhm.
who resolved all the open items from the 17th of January? Those two,
I
17th
assume
of
that she
January.
did because she sent the final documents.
I'm sorry, that was Katrina's,
Yes.
17th.
So presumably Katrina resolved everything because on her February 4th email where she says now everything is complete, from their end, there are minimal edits in those documents. I will send it out again right now.
I guess, I don't want to prolong this, but this easement has been up and down and all kinds of,
This is.
you know,
did you
I
wanna
think it
just-
deserves a look based on that, certainly. To be sure,
Did
it's
you
what,
wanna just read her email?
Well, I can read, yes, I will read Katrina's email, and then
Mhm.
I think you guys can tell me whether you want another month to review the documents and vote next time. So, but let me send this, and then so I just sent it out to everyone again, and now I'm gonna, read it. So she says, attached are a variety of documents. The Google Drive is the full draft baseline documentation report. Attached is the draft conservation easement and L-chip right of enforcement deeds. L-chip and Bear Paul's attorneys have reviewed each document, although both parties will need to review the documents again if the town legal counsel has any major comments. Of special interest to the town is to make sure the right of enforcement deed between the town and L-chip is consistent with the conservation easement deed between the town and Bear Paul. I looked through both documents, and to me, they are consistent, but more sets of eyes is always better. For reference as to why there are separate deeds, some of it has to do with L-chip's new process, and some of it is related to the fact that the property deed was already conveyed to the town. Please feel free to provide your attorney with my contact information if you'd like me to deal with questions directly. I also attached a draft project summary. So, I think there are two questions. One, do we send this again to the town attorney? And secondly, do you want another month to review the documents before we vote? Those are the kind of the two questions.
well, aren't they related? I mean, if we send it to the attorney, we can't vote on it, right? We gotta see what he says.
Well, that's true, but if we decide not to send it to the attorney, we could vote on it.
Okay.
I don't think we need to send it to the attorney. Would be my,
I think we do, but I just, part of it is I haven't been involved in this particular easement all along, but there were a lot of bumps and potholes and so on, getting things together, and
Did you take a look at the attorney questions that were sent around?
from the 17th?
I don't know.
No, this was from,
This is from Bear.
Oh,
long
from,
time ago.
he did this May of last year.
I just remember them being like somewhat existential in
Yes.
nature. Like,
And they're the
it
same
really-
questions that he
yeah.
asks every time.
Because I think easements are uncomfortable legal documents for a lot of lawyers.
And I think he feels that he has to raise these things, and he
Yeah.
raises them every time, and then it, that's just, I think sometimes they're very hard questions to deal with, but we can
And-
certainly send it
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
I think what Haley just said too was that there, I can't come up with her email quickly, but, that the questions that were posed by the attorney were, like you said, existential.
Yeah, or like really about the nature of easements overall and not necessarily this particular easement. I haven't looked at them recently, but I'm just recalling.
This was our attorney, or?
Yes.
Our attorney. I just recall having
Mhm.
that feeling when
Yeah.
he sent that letter initially.
I mean, I didn't
last
even
year.
understand 3/4 of the
Exactly.
questions, right? They were
Which is why we pushed it off on the
Here-
attorneys to
here's
deal with.
Here's her comment, Bearpaw attorney said, review the drafts, this is last month, and the comments from Attorney Raymond, which Ms. Amaral indicated were more related to intent than to the document
Right.
language.
Right.
Right.
So that's.
So those questions are gonna come up again, there's no question.
And the two attorneys worked together, and Bearpaw in theory, they've in theory incorporated or addressed the questions.
To the extent that they felt they
Exactly.
could.
So I feel comfortable, but I'm totally open to send it again if anyone does.
Well, I don't wanna hold it up, but
Oh.
I'm not sure I'll support it.
There were comments in the two that were sent around on I forwarded the email from Katrina,
Mhm.
and that had the latest documents. One appeared to be the same one that was sent
What was the date of that sending?
when it was forwarded,
Yeah, when you,
Tuesday.
oh, this is the one,
February 4th. Yeah.
okay, I haven't seen that.
And I just sent it to you again.
Okay. There, the Bearpaw, not the Bearpaw. The easement from Deerfield to Bearpaw appeared to be the same version, the same draft version, the 1202.
Okay, so that,
Okay, I briefly blew through it, and there's the same red area
Mhm.
in there, whether it's being incorporated or not. I don't know how you can have a final document with something that's in red, that looks like it was written in. And then the easement document, or the executory interest deed to LCHIP, is one that looks a little different than the previous ones that I went through,
mhm.
in as much as they actually have Paula Bellamore's comments listed in there. And I didn't go back to see if they were, the two versions that I have, when you were asking what was the last version, I went through all the deeds that I had online, and came up with what I felt were the last two that we had. And the way they were coming up when I printed them out was, it was not having the person's name as far as the commenter. And it took me a while to realize it was not printing what I was reading, and I kept thinking I was looking at two different versions of the deed because of that. But the one that came with Katrina's email has Paula's comments on it.
And Paula is an attorney, no, she's LCHIP?
She's the
LCHIP
LCHIP person, yeah.
Well, let me just, I looked at the ones, the 17th of January email, and the documents attached to that from Katrina. And there's a lot of red stuff.
But that's not the documents we're looking at now. Those have been cleaned up, and we
Okay,
now have,
how'd that get cleaned up? Cleaned up.
Which one are you speaking of?
January 17th,
January 17th, okay.
right.
I assume Bearpaw and LCHIP,
They
they work together to get the final
Okay.
documents.
So changes occurred to that, right?
This is
I don't
the,
know.
this is the one that Katrina sent.
Can I make a suggestion here? Why don't we table this for a month and let Eric read it, and if he's got, no, seriously, if you.
No, we're not
you
gonna
could-
table it for a
No,
month.
no,
We're
no.
gonna decide whether we're sending it to the attorney, because we need to get this done. So we
sorry.
can vote, we can say we're gonna wait until next month to vote, but if we're sending it to the attorney, we have to do it now,
Yeah.
so.
The comments in the margins on the LCHIP one,
Mm-hmm.
and I assume these are Paula's because they don't say it here, commented D1. Let me know if you would like to change this to conservation goals or conservation purposes in order to standardize the easement language. And then the next thing in here was.
But that's the only one. I mean, there's two, I
Final numbers
think.
to be determined once final budget is submitted, receiving 10 and 91,100. That's in condemnation, extinguishment percentage. And then that appears to be it, as far as the executory interest deed is concerned.
Tell you what, I'm gonna send this to Jim, and in the meantime, we're all gonna read it, and we're gonna be prepared to vote next month.
Okay, that's good.
Because that deadline is, June
We
is
have
not
to do
that
it.
far away.
We have to make it, yeah,
It's
we
been
have to
extended twice
approve it.
now.
Well, just to let you know, I won't be here next month. I'm gonna be away,
Okay.
so.
How many votes do we need?
Or,
Brian will be here.
I hope.
hopefully,
So you have, if you're not here, then we hope that
Brian is.
Brian is,
Can we vote by email?
no,
Okay.
no business can be conducted by email.
How about by phone?
We could have a quick meeting for 5 minutes down here and sign it, you know.
Yeah, we may have to do something like that. We'll see.
Yep.
Okay, so that's, can you put that on our agenda to approve or to vote on next month, please?
Is there any way I can just say if, I'll go with the consensus if there is one? No,
If there's no quorum, it doesn't.
Can you do an absentee ballot?
that's what I was wondering, yeah.
Apparently not, unfortunately. Okay, I think that's mostly what we have. We don't have any updates on Mathis, I don't think.
Those are just, all they are just placeholders.
Yeah. Yep, so I actually think, well, unless Wes, I don't know if you had an energy committee update?
Oh, sure, we had an organizational meeting. I wish I thought I would have brought the notes on what we did, but there were 4 others there, and we looked at I got in the last few weeks the results, the oil consumption of this building for 2019, and it was down, and you could also see a slight improvement in the electric numbers because they, within the last year, completed the lighting upgrade. So we talked about a variety of things, including, what we went away with is we're gonna come back with a list of priorities for where we think the town should be going, or where the Energy Committee should be going. Interestingly enough, the night after the meeting, I got an email from Paray and their
Hooray.
Plymouth Area Renewable Energy Initiative. Anyway, they're doing a workshop that I had tried to get us on last year, and looks like we'll get in there this year. It's funded by the utilities. It's called Button Up. It's basically a weatherization. How do you save residential? How do you save energy? And so I'm actually trying to get the room at the town, Old Town Hall to have one, and so that looks like it is likely to be a kickoff event for the committee, and I'm still hoping to get somebody from the school board or representing schools' interest there, because I would like to see this be a community-wide plan and an action, and the school is one of the big consumers of electricity. I think we should make plans for the town if we possibly can, rather than piecemeal. And I think it's great that the school has plans to put PV on the roof, and hopefully we can here too, but it may work out that if we work together, there's synergy, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm hoping that we can.
So talk to Jim Dealey or Nate Oxnard, they're on the school board.
I already have, and they were kind of private conversations at this point. But I have. And so Our next meeting is we're gonna, for now, meeting on the fourth Monday of the month. And, I mean, I could send you more details, but that's basically in a nutshell.
Great.
It feels like we're gonna get some, traction this time.
Good.
Oh, and one other piece I found in trying to get somebody from the school board is that they did a lighting upgrade that had similar economic return to this building. And I want to do a profile of that, because what I want to get in people's head is doing these things isn't just, you know, green and,
It's
but
real.
it's,
Yeah.
it's economically beneficial, and that hopefully is what will motivate people, whether it's at the town level or individually. So there,
Good, great, Wes.
Who's the school board, board of selectmen member?
we don't have a Board of
No.
Selectmen member, Bob Cody's
Oh,
coming up
okay,
from the,
planning.
from the
Yeah.
planning board. And, shoot, what's the guy's name? Really nice fellow, the guy who does, the town buildings, the facilities.
Oh, I don't know.
He's just,
Used to be, it was Mark,
Oh,
Goodness.
Ray?
Ray, yeah, he was out for a while and he's back,
Oh,
yeah. I think it's Ray is his name, yeah, I
I
met
can't
him,
remember his last name,
lives on South
though.
Road,
South Road. Mhm.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, good.
I'm pretty excited, I think we could get some traction this time, and, I think we need to.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay, any other updates or announcements? Okay, Judy, you have anything? All right, then I vote that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay,
Aye.
aye.
Unofficially, there's an article.
So how's Theo doing?
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a good baby.
Forum,